Alright, we got Mr. Wagman here, Foolish Mortals Brewing Company. He's working on his brew. Today we're working on a brand new recipe for a nut brown ale. And we're getting the temperature right on our steeping.
Hey folks, we're making a nut brown ale. I have the grains already measured out here. We're putting it in here to steep for 45 minutes. And that's the first part of this process, is getting your grains steeped. We're steeping at 158 degrees, which is the premium temperature for this. And after 45 minutes, then we start the real boil.
Alright kids, we're going to try and videotape sparging, although it's going to take two of us here, so this is going to be a little bit of an interesting process. There we go. There we go there. So basically what we're doing here is sparging. We've got our grain sack. Scott's got his water to temperature. And we're just going to run this water through the grains and get the last of that goodness out of there. There we go.
158 degrees.
There we go. Now we're coming up kind of high on that, so I'm going to lift this up a bit.
You can try this at home, kids.
You can absolutely try this at home. We recommend it. And there we go. That's the sparge. We're going to let the last of this goodness come dripping out of there like that. See how we got a nice clear liquid coming out? That means we got all the good stuff. We actually still got a little bit of color there. Alright, so there you go. Sparge. Alright, so right now we're bringing the brew back up to temperature again. We're sitting at about, what does that say there? Whatever, 142 or something like that. We want to get up to about 212, which is boiling, at which point we will introduce the next set of ingredients, and we'll see you then. While Mr. Wagman integrates the ingredients.
Okay, so first we have a ½ pound of light dry malt extract. Here we go. Swapping it in there, making donuts.
Making donuts.
Okay, next we're going to add 5 pounds of amber dry malt extract. Whoa. Okay. And here we go. It's going to put it close to the surface. You're going to have to watch it like a hawk.
So we're just about going to fill this pot here.
Oh,
pretty big boil. And what we want to do is we want to keep this moving here, and we're going to kill the temperature right now.
Yep, just to allow us to stir it in so it doesn't boil over. And then we're going to have to watch it so it doesn't boil over until all the proteins come out. So this is what we call making donuts. Big clumps.
And after we're through with this process here, it's going to be a nice creamy mixture. None of these clumps are going to be left, and hopefully we don't boil over. As you can see, we're really close to the top here. Alright, we'll check back in a couple seconds. Alright, so what we got here is a nice happy wort. We're just a little over 200 degrees right now. We want to bring this back to a boil. All of this nice foamy stuff you see on top is protein, which is all really, really good. So we're plugging along. Once we get this back up to temperature, we've reintroduced heat to it, so we should be coming to a boil here shortly. Once we get boiling, we'll start introducing our first set of ingredients to the boil, and we'll start a 60-minute boil. Here you go. Look how happy he is. Alright, we've achieved boil here. We got a nice boil going there. We got a nice open spot right in here. We're letting heat out so that that head there doesn't froth over and we avoid a boil over. Scott's getting ready to introduce the first ingredients to the boil. What are you putting in, Scott?
I am putting in the Kent Golding, and it's just a ½ ounce. This is just for bittering on the nut brown ale. We like to have a little bit of bitterness to it. We're watching the froth here, making sure it doesn't boil over. But there'll be another hops addition later on for aroma. And it looks like we're getting a little bit of a boil over.
There we go, bringing that down. So we use a grain bag for the hop introduction. You can just pour hops right into the boil. Totally doesn't matter. It just makes it a little cleaner when you go to take all your hops out, and we can pull them all out of the bag. But all the nice oils and everything from the hops get introduced into the boil this way. So here we go. This is the beginning of a 60-minute process. We'll check back in after the next introduction. Just real quick, I got to point out, we got a killer boil going on. This is everything that you want to see. Nice tight boil, pushing the protein back there. So we're cruising along here. Happy times. All right, where are we at, Mr. Wagman?
Okay, so now we're at the 5-minute hop addition, meaning we're 5 minutes from the end of the brew. Last time I misspoke. I said that we put in the Kent Golding, but what we put in was the Willamette. Now we're putting in an ounce of the Kent Golding for aromatics. And here we go. And we have 5 minutes until the brew is done. And we're looking good. Smells good. I know you can't get it on camera, but
it does smell good.
We're liking it.
All right, we'll see you in a few. All right, and here we are at the end of the boil. As you can see, we lost a little liquid during this process. That's normal, no big deal. Just taking it off of heat right now. Boom.
Remove the hot bag. Make sure we get all the goodies in. Here we go.
There we go. Look at that. Make sure we get all that nice, good juice in the brew.
This hop's definitely expanded. It's a lot heavier than an ounce and a half.
A big tea bag. Not your grandma's tea.
Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know your grandma.
All right, so as soon as we get all the liquid out of the hop bag here, we're going to transfer this outside to a chilling bucket, and we're going to introduce a wort chiller to it, and there you go. All right, so what we're doing now, we've introduced some water to the wort to get it up to the 5-gallon mark. We're going to put it in our state-of-the-art chiller. Get it on ice. And then Mr. Wagman here has got a wort chiller. Now this is going to drop, taking it out of our sanitation bucket there. It's going to drop right in to the brew. Taking out our spoon first. And then we're going to hook hoses up to either side of this to get water running through that to help bring down the temperature. Alright, so there's the setup right there. What we've got basically, we're at about 140 degrees right now. So we're chilling it down. We want to get this, we like to pitch the yeast at about 65 degrees. So we've got a ways to go. The wort chiller basically, right over here, we're pumping in cold water and then it's coming out there, so it's circulating through the brew, and hopefully that'll help to bring the temperature down in a timely manner. We also like to call this lunchtime, so we're going to take a little break, get something to eat while this chills down. So something Scott was talking about that we should probably point out. Right now, like, sanitation is key, so we use Ida4, which is a sanitizer. We keep our little sanitation bucket right here. It's basically water with this substance in it. We can keep our spoon, our wort chiller, and everything in it for when we need to use it. That's also why we got the aluminum foil over the top here. Our state-of-the-art keep the germs out technique. So there you go. All right, so just about a little less than a half hour later, we are at temperature. We're at 65, so we're going to pull this thing out. Get our state-of-the-art germ protection taken off. You could just move this right over to the thing if we like.
Let me unhook the hose. Like that.
go right there for now. Fantastic. And now we're going to move this guy inside and get ready to pitch the yeast. Here we go. All right, back in the house. What are we doing, Mr. Wagman?
We are pitching the Nottingham yeast. We have 11 grams of it. Since we're doing a nut brown ale, I figured we'd use an English yeast.
Nice.
And we're going to distribute it evenly over the top. Wait 10 minutes, and then we're going to add our oak.
There we go.
Come on, little boys and girls. Come on, do your work. Do your work.
This is all of it right here. Essentially, like, the yeast is the most important part of everything that we've been doing, so can't screw this up. Here we go. We'll come back in 10 minutes. All right, so we're a little bit more than 10 minutes away. Our yeast is done nicely. We're going to introduce some oak chips now.
So we steamed these oak chips so they wouldn't have any bacteria alive in them.
Sanitation first, baby. There we go. All right, put the lid on. And we're going to lock this bad boy away for about, well, not about, for a week exactly. We'll come back to this guy in 7 days.
Can you get me the Tito's?
Yep, absolutely. When dealing with quality products, we find that it's best to only use the highest ingredients. We use Tito's handmade vodka for all sanitation purposes.
So what we're going to do is you have the option usually to use either distilled water or vodka, and we choose Tito.
Why not?
So it just helps with the sanitation and the airlock, and you got to get it to about midpoint so you can see it. The escaping CO2 will come through the airlock, and here we go. And we'll cap it. And that's a wrap, baby.
All right. Quality home brewers. We've got about 10 gallons of beer in the closet right now. We got one carboy that we just racked today, and Scott's going to swaddle our fermentation that we just did. Keep it nice and warm and cozy.
Just keep it about the same temperature for insulation purposes, so it will be nice and fermented.
There we go. So that pretty much does it. Scott Wagman, Robert Kennard, thanks for hanging out with us.